Welcome everybody. I'm Chris Magra. I'm the director of the Center for the Study of Tennesseans in War, and it's our mission to research, preserve, and share the stories of Tennessee veterans. And we're privileged to have a Tennessee veteran with us today. This is John Saylor, and we're going to talk about his story. Welcome, John.
Awesome. Thanks
Good
for
to see
having
you.
me.
Yeah, thanks for coming. Can you start with your bona fides? Where were you born and raised?
So I am from Northeast Tennessee, little town called Gray, Tennessee, outside of John City, Bristol, Kingsport. Born and raised there. If you can't tell by the way I talk. So.
And what year were you born?
1994.
Mm-hmm. And can you tell us a little bit about growing up in Tennessee in the 90s?
So, grew up.
Doing stuff around cars when you were growing up?
Yeah, I'm a huge car guy. I grew up around hot rods and classic cars. Love to hunt, being outdoors, being around guns, typical Tennessee boy things.
Mm-hmm.
And
military service in your family?
Yep. So my grandfather was drafted during Vietnam. He never went to Vietnam, and my great uncle fought in World War II during the Battle of the Bulge. I know seeing just, he never would talk about like his time overseas. It was always time stateside, but that was definitely a big influence on me joining. And growing up, my parents would let me watch war movies and stuff like that. Me and my dad loved to do that together. And I think that's when I knew that's when I wanted to serve the country.
You think you made a decision at a young age?
Yeah.
This was something you wanted to do?
Of course.
And did you ever have a conversation with your parents about that, or did you kind of keep it to yourself until?
So, believe it or not, at first I wanted to join the Coast Guard, and I can't remember why it didn't work out, but I remember I was about a junior or senior in high school. I had my math teacher, her son was in the Army, and I talked to her a little bit. I went to go see her not too long ago. She remembered me, crazy enough.
Do you remember her name?
Miss Hill.
Shout out to Miss Hill.
Yeah, shout out Miss Hill. And I remember, like, all I ever wanted to do was join the infantry and go do all that cool guy stuff. And when it came down to it and I graduated, I really got serious talking to my parents, and we had a 68 Mustang at that time. And my dad said, my parents didn't want me to join, and my dad said, if you join the infantry, I'm gonna sell a 68 Mustang. And at that
was
time,
a big threat to John.
That was a big threat.
As a teenage young boy,
What's funny is it ended up in my garage years later. I just recently gave it to my nephew, I think last November, to keep it in the family. But so I remember they did not want me to do it. So one day I went to the recruiter by myself. And
was this a Coast Guard recruiter?
No. This is Army recruiter.
Okay, so you had mentioned initially wanting to do Coast Guard.
Yeah.
That kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah, they did.
Where did the Coast Guard come from?
I could not tell you.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is I can barely swim. I can doggy paddle, but I'm not a swimmer.
We're pretty landlocked here in Tennessee.
Yeah.
So not a lot of Coast Guard activity here.
No.
Yeah.
And then, but I went up to the recruiter by myself, and just because they wanted me to go to school, I wanted out of Northeast Tennessee. And I had a friend that went to the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga. I went down to visit her and fell in love with it. So we kind of compromised. Me and my family and I kind of compromised, and I called my dad while he was at work. The recruiter offered me, he said, now I can get you a $10,000 bonus and horizontal construction engineer. And me being a car guy, I was like, I want to be a mechanic.
Yeah.
And they found a slot for me in a reserve unit as a mechanic, and called my dad up while he was at work. I was like, Dad, I'm about to sign this dotted line. If you want to leave work, you can, but I'm signing this dotted line. I'm going to go serve. And he
And it
left
was in
work.
the Army Reserves.
Yeah.
So you kind of felt like, did you feel like your dad would be comfortable with it, since it wasn't infantry, wasn't?
They weren't. They went along with it.
Yeah.
They went along with it. At first, they were hesitant. What's crazy is my career progressed, which I'm sure we'll get into. I eventually made E6. I got out as an E6, and they were begging me to stay in. They wanted me to stay in.
By the end of it.
By the end of it.
But initially, no.
Yeah.
And were you thinking this is going to be a compromise with my parents, or were you thinking the guy made a good pitch for taking this route and going with the reserves?
Well, my original plan,
Or both.
my original plan was I was going to join the reserves, go to school, do ROTC at UT Chattanooga, and then get infantry and commission there. Well, that was back during the Obama administration, and they were downsizing, and nobody was getting a contract. I mean, you had to be top of the line. And I was in school, and I did well in school, but just my heart wasn't there. I wanted to go serve. So I did 3 semesters at UTC, and once I got into ROTC, it wasn't for me. The officers and NCOs are 2 totally different jobs, and not scenarios, but I'm an NCO at heart. I'm a leader. I like working with people, and as an NCO, you get to be with your guys. I wasn't an NCO at that time, but I was.
You've since found out that's who you are.
Of course, yeah.
So, what year did you sign on the dotted line? What year was the enlistment?
Well, this is crazy. I did not plan this out, but it was about July. This is June or July of 2013. I got to basic training. I started basic training August 6, 2013. My last day in uniform was August 6, 2021.
Yep.
And then when I got out, I did my terminal leave, but my official end date in the military was October 7th, 2021.
So you enlisted in the Army Reserves, and you're at UT Chattanooga in the ROTC program.
Yep.
And you did 3 years at UT Chattanooga?
No, I did 3 semesters at UT.
3 semesters? Okay.
I did 1 semester in ROTC, and just it wasn't for me. I ended up rushing fraternity, go Pike, rush Pike, and just after my 3rd semester, I was like, man, this is just not where my heart is. So put in a conditional release to go active duty, and it was signed like that. They generally take 6 months. I think mine was signed in like 3 months. And
this would have been around 2014?
2015.
Okay.
2015. So I finished up the fall semester 2015, and February of 2016 I was on a plane to South Korea for a year. I was stationed at Camp Casey, South Korea, with the 2nd Infantry Division, 210th Field Artillery Brigade. And what's crazy is when I was in the reserves, I never touched a vehicle. They always had contractors, and I wanted to work on vehicles. Well, when I got to my unit in South Korea, I didn't touch a vehicle for like 6 months because I was put in a headquarters unit, and I ended up being the do everything guy for my unit. I worked in the orderly room, and I cannot remember the commander's name, but First Sergeant Billings, he's probably retired now. I know he made Sergeant Major. Shout out to Sergeant Major Billings. That guy was awesome.
And he got you situated in South Korea.
Yeah. They put a lot of trust in me. I was an E4 specialist. I got to drive a group of. I was a mechanic in a field artillery unit, and in South Korea they've partnered with the South Korean Army, and we do a lot of joint operations, I guess, if that's the wrong word. But we work alongside what they call KATUSAs. I cannot remember what the acronym stands for, but one of the coolest things I got to do was drive a group of field artillery professionals down to the South Korean Field Artillery School. We got to just see their day-to-day life. Got to meet their commanding general for the school, I believe.
Was that your first time out of the United States?
No. In high school, I got to go to Ecuador for student exchange. I am the only person in my family that's like really left Northeast Tennessee. And I've just always, I love to go on adventures and indulge in new cultures and see new things.
So you were looking forward to getting to South Korea? You were excited to be there?
Not really.
Okay.
But when I went, I mean, it was awesome. I feel like I was too young to go because I did exactly what they told us not to do. Yeah. So the first 6 months I got out and traveled. I went down to Seoul. I went to Jeju Island. I miss their Korean barbecue so much. But my last 6 months, I started buying a bunch of cars here in the States. My dad would go pick them up. So I didn't have money to travel. And I would sit in my room and play Xbox. Looking back, I kind of wish I would have done it differently, but I'm so passionate about cars and collecting cars. I loved it and still had a pretty good time. But I did get to go to the DMZ too. That was incredible. I can say, so you know the UN buildings on the DMZ. So inside those buildings, there's a table that divides North and South Korea. And if you go on the other side of the table, you're technically in North Korea. So I can say I've been in North Korea before.
Okay. Yeah.
But that was super cool experience. And then after, any more questions about Korea?
Yeah, so cars was kind of your connection with your parents back in Tennessee.
Yeah.
You're serving over in South Korea, but you're buying cars, or you're having your dad buy cars for you, and that's kind of connecting you with your family back here in Tennessee.
Yeah, my dad got tired of going to pick them up.
Yeah.
But funny story about that. So my dad tried to teach me how to drive a stick. Never could get it. Well, our unit got a Kia Bongo truck, and it was a stick, and I hadn't driven one in a couple years, or tried in a couple years, and my unit was like, hey, we just got this stick Kia Bongo truck, we need somebody to drive it. And I raised my hand, and that was where I learned how to drive a stick. I had to make myself learn how to drive it. Man, I drove that thing. I got to drive that thing all over, well, I wouldn't say all over Korea, but I remember one time being in that headquarter unit. There was a unit there that did was on a training exercise, and they weren't doing what they're supposed to. So we get a call, or I get a call, and they're like, hey, brigade commander's going out there. We need you to load the truck up and take him a tent, set it up. I got to drive that bongo truck to the east coast of South Korea. Gorgeous. Korea is beautiful. But that's where I learned that's where I perfected my driving of a stick, and now every single car I have now is a stick except for my Falcon. But yeah, what else?
And so after this deployment to South Korea, what's after South Korea? How long were you in South Korea, and then what's next?
So I was there for a year. And while I was there, I still want a combat MLS, and I made friends with the career counselor there, and he put together a voluntary reclass packet for me, and I think it needed like 2 different signatures. Well, my branch, I can't remember the name, but the guy that runs my branch did the first signature because they put me on orders to Fort Bliss. This is the second time I've dodged Fort Bliss, because when I went to MEPS for my conditional release, they said you can either go to Fort Bliss or South Korea. Well, them talked me into South Korea. And Fort Bliss was one of the one places I never wanted to go.
So when you're at Chattanooga, they offered you Fort Bliss, and you're like, no, and now you're in South Korea, and they're bringing up Fort Bliss again.
Yeah.
It's like saying no, so what happened?
So they canceled my orders to Fort Bliss, and then a week later, they put me on orders to Fort Bragg. And all I need is that one signature to reclass. And since they put me on orders to Bragg, they canceled that reclass, and I was like, you know what, I'm not going to fight this. I want to go to Fort Bragg. I'm close to Tennessee, I'm close to home, and this is my ticket to airborne school. So went to Fort Bragg, to the 82nd Sustainment Brigade, to it was the rigger unit. I can't remember the actual name of it, but went to the rigger unit. It's the only, there's 2 different rigger units. There's one for like heavy equipment, and then one for like regular parachutes. So I went to the one for regular, where they pack the parachutes for the paratroopers. And I go there as a mechanic.
What year is this at Fort Bragg?
This is February of 2017, I believe.
Okay.
And so I get there, I'm there February, and then they start. So if you go to that unit, the only way you jump is if you're on the command team or you're a rigger. Like everybody else in Sustainment Brigade is not airborne qualified. And then about halfway through, they start offering airborne to the higher performers within the brigade, and I was selected to go to airborne school. I'm so excited, and I go to airborne school in September.
What was it about the airborne school that got you excited? Most folks don't want to jump out of a perfectly good airplane.
I love danger and excitement.
Okay.
I wanted to go do the coolest stuff in the military. And so go to airborne school, and I will say I don't think I've ever seen my mom more proud to pin on those wings. So I went to airborne school, get back, they won't let me jump. I gotta be on airborne orders. I offered to jump for free, and I still couldn't do it. So shortly after I get my P status, promotable status, and then I think I pick up E5 around February, March
2018.
Yeah, I think, about that. And then they sent me down to the 249th Composite Supply Company. I'm going to be made as a 24-year-old sergeant, the motor sergeant and platoon sergeant for One of the platoons. I can't remember which platoon.
No, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
But you're not jumping out of airplanes.
No, I'm still not jumping.
So how did you feel about that? At that time, were you a little upset about not getting to be jumping out of airplanes, or are you looking forward to this next gig?
It was a great opportunity, so I was going to take it, but
yeah,
get more into that here in a second. So go down there. The unit's deployed to Iraq, so I'm rear detachment or rear D, and they left me a mess. This is a guesstimation, but I inherited about $70 million worth of equipment. I've got anything from a Humvee to a fueler, like fuel truck, lads, which is the lads was the laundry trailer that they take out to do laundry. I mean, it was a mess. I had a 7-page ESR, which is the equipment status report. Well, I've got the rear detachment mechanics and about, I don't know, maybe 30 people under me. And from March till August, in that time, we were able to get that ESR down from 7 pages to 3. It was a good time, great experience. And then in that meantime, and in between then, I don't remember when, but got a wild hair and went down to the career counselor's office again, and they offered me $40,000 bonus, Hotel 8 school, which is vehicle recovery school, and 6 years and needs of the Army. I'm like, sign me up. Mm-hmm. I'll take that $40K. Mm-hmm. And I figured in the meantime, I'll just work with my first sergeant at the time, and he can maybe help me get over to an airborne unit to go jump, because they always needed jumpers.
And you're still thinking about that as a possibility.
Yeah. Yep. And well, they put me on orders to Fort Drum, New York. That was the #1 place I never wanted to go. Mm-hmm. They send people from Alaska to Fort Drum for cold weather training. I don't do cold weather training, and I'm not the biggest fan of the North either. Mm-hmm. So at that same time, the Army was building the Security Force Assistance Brigade, or SFAB, and at Fort Bragg. They had already built first SFAB, they may have still been building first SFAB, but I wanted to stay at Fort Bragg. Well, I told them, they thought I was absolutely crazy. I told them I do not want to go to Fort Drum, and they were offering, like, if you got selected for SFAB, you could cancel yours or whatnot. Well, went to selection for second SFAB and was selected for second SFAB at Fort Bragg. I had to give them that $40,000 back, Hotel 8 school, and stuck for 6 more years still. But that was one of the greatest decisions of my life. And I still wanted to go do all the cool guy stuff. I tried twice to get a combat MOS. Actually, before I went to re-enlist for that big deal they gave me, I tried to re-enlist as a cavalry scout. I wanted infantry, but cavalry scout, well, there was some time in service stuff that didn't work out, and God was doing, I didn't understand it at the time, but God was doing some amazing things that, like I said, I just didn't understand. So
this is 2018?
2018.
Yep.
And so I get selected. I'm so excited. I'm gonna go to one of the CAT teams. I can't remember what CAT's. It's either company advisor team or combat advisor. I can't remember. But so I waited forever. I was miserable in that waiting for my orders because I wasn't a motor sergeant anymore or a platoon sergeant because I was leaving, so they put somebody else there.
You're at Fort Bragg and just kind of figuring things out in 2018.
Yep.
And wondering what's next.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so before I go, they finally send me my orders and where I'm going, put me on a logistics advisor team. I was not the happiest because I did want to go to one of the other battalions. But you got to do what the Army tells you to do. So I think it was August 31st, I reported to 2nd SFAB, and I report to my company and battalion, and I'm the maintenance advisor for LAT, or Logistics Advisor Team 2612. My company was LAC, or Logistics Advisor Company 2610, and report there and get started. My team sergeant, Sergeant First Class Williams, he should be Sergeant Major now. Best leader I've ever had. I loved my team. I loved my company, and we are getting ready. First SFAB, I believe, is already in Afghanistan, and we are going to replace them around March, April of 2019.
Yep.
So we do all of our training, and
then you got to be excited that you're going overseas.
So excited. That's
getting
all
that deployment that you wanted.
That's all I ever wanted was because I remember when 9/11 happened. I was in 1st grade, and I remember my teacher just coming in freaking out, and we didn't know what was going on.
A lot of us were freaking out.
Yeah, and as I got older and learned everything, like, I knew I wanted to do that. So I'm so excited to go over there. And about March, my team gets told, we don't have a mission for you yet. And then April comes around, and all right, we got you guys a mission.
Did your family know about the first chance that you could get deployed?
Yeah, they didn't want me to go.
Yeah.
They were not about it. But at this time, like, I'm an E5. I had made E5 within. My time's messed up, like, on paper, because they don't give you all your time from the reserves when you go active. And within like 2.5, 3 years, I had already made E5. I think that was about it. And
what do you attribute that to? Do you think it's because you kept going to the career people and saying I want to do something?
No, I was motivated.
Yeah.
Like, I loved what I did. I loved being in the military. I do not quit. I do not quit whatsoever. And I always do my best and try my best to be a leader. I'm not perfect. I'm not the perfect leader whatsoever, but and I learned from my mistakes, and I learned from the leaders that I had. But so April 2019, my 4-man team, I deployed with Captain Morris, Sergeant First Class Williams, Sergeant Perez, and myself, and we deployed to Fob Lightning in Gardez, Afghanistan. We fall in. We were there to train, advise, and assist the Afghan National Army, specifically 203rd Corps. We were up at the Corps level. So when it had been 20 years since about 20 years since we had went in.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know how long the war on
Yeah.
terror lasted, and
Oh my gosh.
yeah, how long we've been in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Yeah, and we're still in Iraq. Obviously, we're not in Afghanistan anymore. So
You get there in 2019.
get there in 2019, and after all the time we had taken over, they had changed from RC, which was, I can't remember what RC stood for, but they changed the mission set from like us doing it essentially to train, advise, and
Afghanistan
assist
peoples to do it themselves, to withdraw American soldiers.
Yep.
As we had in previous conflicts, including Vietnam.
Yep. And we had our government set up their military essentially very, very similar to ours. So it went company, battalion, brigade, and corps. Their corps was similar to our division. So my mission was to train an Afghan colonel and major on running their maintenance operations. So I never did touch any of their trucks or anything. It was more, I don't want to say strategic level, but it was more, I wasn't on the ground with their mechanics. But Major Bassoon, I cannot remember the colonel's name. I love Major Bassoon. He was awesome. And so we get there and I fall in on somebody that's already there, built a relationship and whatnot with Major Bassoon and the colonel. And then the guy I fell in on, he was an E7. I'm still 24-year-old sergeant at this level, like working with 5 to 10, maybe 15 different NATO countries, and just taking it all in. I got 2 letters of recommendation, and in one of those letters of recommendation said that it was a major slot. So I'm working at a very high level, like I've got to lock in. So.
Were you excited about that?
Oh yeah. Oh
Great
yeah.
opportunity.
Oh yeah. I mean, I grew up real fast, and I am sitting in the Task Force Southeast meeting, briefing as an E5, briefing a full bird colonel on our progress we're making.
Now, can I ask you to step back a little bit from the trees? Yeah, I'm going to ask you a political question.
Okay.
But I honestly want to know what you think about it. Something I've thought a lot about. Do you think the decision to train the Afghans to fight for themselves and then withdraw American forces was the right call?
So,
you can answer that however you want.
By no means. So, I obviously didn't see the whole picture. I do know that, I mean, between my team and I and the other teams we were working with in that region, we made great progress, I think. A lot of people may disagree with me because, and like I said, I didn't see the whole picture, but I feel like because we started to my knowledge, correct me if I'm wrong, anybody out there that sees this, we started the training mission well before SFAB was created. They had advisors out there. But I don't know, I kind of feel like if we would have left advisors in there and our SF, it could have gone another way. I don't know. I don't want to create any problem whatsoever. I just know what I saw, and
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah,
I don't know.
You're in there, you're doing good work, and you feel like
Yeah.
they're good partners, and you're working hard with them to get them trained up.
Yeah, some of them. I mean, a lot of the, especially the high-ranking Afghans, were great partners to work with. They wanted us there. They wanted our help. And then some of the Afghans just wanted us to do it for them, and that was because we were doing it for them for 20 years. And then a lot of the lower enlisted Afghans, there was so much logistical nightmares within their
Existing infrastructure.
Yeah. And honestly, the logistics, as in like supplies, stuff like that, was like terrible getting them that stuff, because I remember there were some Afghans that didn't want to go on some of those missions because they were so dangerous for them. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. Any way you wanted to answer. I mean, you at the time, you're a young man, and you're in Afghanistan really towards the end of the war on terror, and you see these opportunities, you have good partners, you got your mission, and you're getting after it.
But so halfway through, the guy that I was working with, we were both the maintenance advisors for Task Force Southeast, he leaves. I'm the only one there. So as a 24-year-old sergeant, I turned 25 while I was over there, if I got my birthdays right.
Did your dad get you, or did you get a car while you were over there for your birthday?
I think I did buy a car while I was. Oh, I did. I bought me a 2017 F-250 before I left. My dad went to today.
Still connecting you back to Tennessee.
Yeah.
All these cars. Yep.
Yeah. And I took over the head maintenance advisor position. So I am facilitating these meetings with NATO officials, running the advising operations for maintenance. And there was one of the CAT teams that was at the brigade level that fell under us. Major Vanafra at the time, now Lieutenant Colonel. He is another just awesome guy. Like, I've kept in touch with him since. I'll get to it, but I was an instructor at UTC, ROTC instructor at UTC in 2023. But he came up and did our speech for the ball. But he is awesome. He was one of the guys that wrote me a letter of recommendation. I went down to help his team in Ghazni at Fob Sultan. That was awesome. And that's where I earned my cab. And it was an incredible experience down there working with him. But I had to go back up to Fob Lightning because they didn't have an advisor up there. I spent about 2 weeks, no, maybe 3 weeks down there to help them out. And then get back to it. And at this time, General Tingy, he was the British one-star that was the commander for Task Force Southeast, I believe. I'm briefing him. I'm like 24, 25 at this point, briefing a British one-star general on that, on the advising operations. And what else? I mean, what do you want to know?
How do you compare your deployment to Afghanistan to South Korea?
So
night and day different?
Oh yeah, South Korea was a duty station, and night and day. Like obviously in Afghanistan, you can't just go outside the wire. In South Korea, you get weekends off, whatnot. You can go travel, do whatever you want to do.
You can take that truck across the country.
Yeah. A lot of people think I'm crazy, but I loved Afghanistan.
Yeah.
I loved being over there. I mean, that was such a rewarding job.
Was it the job? Was it the people? Was it the country? What was it about Afghanistan you loved?
Afghanistan is beautiful. Unfortunately, it's war-torn, but their food is so good. I mean, I built impeccable relationships with my partners. They would cook for me. One of the meetings I had, they put on a huge spread for us, and I remember, and we always talked through interpreters, but one of them was like, yeah man, we went out and we bought this lamb last night and butchered it this morning, like it is fresh. I love the food over there, such good food. The experience, getting to see how they live day-to-day lives, like it's very humbling too, seeing, going from the United States and being as blessed as I am here and seeing that, and building relationships with the other service members that I served with, like still keeping in touch with them this day and going through what we went through together, like that's a true bond.
And the challenges of punching above your weight class and doing things that you didn't think you would be doing over in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
So what's next then? Do you come back to the United States?
Yep. So after deployment, we come back, and so I was over there. I was going out every day, almost. I'd say like the last couple months, there was, I can't remember if it's green on blue or blue on green, there was an incident where somewhere within the country, there was an attack. So they got a lot stricter on going out, because like when I was there, before that attack, like all I had to do is, hey, I'm going out to see my partner, go get your security team, we're going out this time. And then after that, they made us start riding in vehicles. Everywhere we went, we had to do a big presentation on what we're doing, whatnot. So, but before that, I was walking, like I would put in probably 2-3 miles every day, wearing my body armor, everything. So that had a toll on my body, and when I got back, I started having like back and knee problems. So they had started regionally aligning the SFABs. There was, I think they just recently shut down one SFAB, but at the time there was 6 SFABs, 5 active duty, 1 National Guard, and they had regionally aligned 2nd SFAB with Africa, or AFRICOM, I think that's what it's called. And we were going somewhere in Africa to train them on their, I don't know, it changed so many times. At one point it was like Senegal, and because our government gave them a couple of our vehicles and we were going to train them on that. But it changed so many times. I never made it or went, because
of the physical issues. Yeah.
So I started going to the doctor, and then when I got back, we got back in December of 2019. And then I started going to the doctor about my knees and back. And then about September, everything really hit me. And I really started struggling with not only physical pain. So, I don't know if I really want to talk about the mental stuff.
Yeah, because you had always wanted to fight. You had always wanted to do the cool guy stuff, like you said, and you get hit with something that's beyond your control.
But I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Yeah.
I'm like, I loved it, but I struggled, and so December of 2020, I had my first knee surgery. I had a 50% torn ACL, fluid under the kneecap, torn meniscus, and a lateral release. So I was out for a while.
Yeah.
And then, God, that was a nightmare trying to get all that, because it eventually happened. And then, I think it was January 21. They only wanted to talk about my knees for like a year. They wouldn't look at my back. So about a year later, I go in to see the doctor for my back, and it's a Duke spine doctor. That appointment lasts about 6-7 minutes. He walks in and he's like, "Dude, your back is way worse for a 26-year-old than what it needs to be." And they recommended me for medical discharge, and that process took about about 8 months, because that was about January. And then
do you want to give any advice to any other people maybe who are serving and going through that?
Go to the doctor. Always go to the doctor for everything.
You feel there's a problem?
Yeah, because I'm the top person. I do not go to the doctor.
You're speaking to other people who are just like you too. They're not going to go.
Go get that stuff documented for when you do get out and get your VA.
Yep.
And then, so August 6th, I start my terminal leave, and I moved back to Jefferson City, and that was when the real fight started.
Because you're out of the military at that point. This is 2022?
No, 21.
2021.
I am just a huge advocate for transitioning veterans. It is one of the hardest things you ever do.
Yep.
Unfortunately, we have 22 veterans a day that take their life because they can't get the help they need. And it is so hard to become a civilian after you've seen and done all those things.
Been mission focused for years.
Mission focused.
Years, yep.
And that is it's definitely a lifestyle, but it's something very hard to leave, because that's what you've known. And I think what's the craziest, 1% of Americans serve, or 3% or something like that. It's hard to find people that understand.
Yeah.
So I've ever since I got out, I've tried to make it my life's mission to help other veterans and anybody that needs that. And I'll tell you about some of the stuff I want to do before we end. But anyway, so
you want to talk about ROTC at Chattanooga?
Yeah, I'll get that comes a little bit later.
Gotcha. Yep.
So I get out and I moved to Jefferson City for a little bit. I got one of the worst things I did was not take a break. August 6th, my last day in uniform. August 9th, I'm a welding job that I took. I thought I had it all figured out. I didn't. And just to talk about how God works in amazing ways. Like I said, my whole life I wanted to go do all that cool guy stuff and whatnot. Well, and I am so glad I was put on that logistics advisor team, because that paved the way for my future. I loved it. I love logistics. I love supply chain. That's what I go to UT for now, is supply chain. But I didn't know that at the time, and we never know in the moment what God's doing until later on. So I get out. I went through probably 7 jobs once I got out, because I just couldn't take it. But I lived in Jefferson City from about August 21 to February of 22.
And your family's still there?
Yeah, my family's in Johnson City, Bristol, Kingsport area.
And they're still supporting you through all this.
Yep. And I went through 2 jobs. And then I was like, okay, I'm gonna take a break. One of the biggest outside of cars for me, like my sanctuary, is being in the woods and hunting. So I just stopped, took a break, and I spent all of November and December deer hunting. Like, being in the woods is where I found my sanctuary, peace, and just reflection and whatnot. So I think well, regardless, about January, my apartment complex, I think I'm a handy guy. I can fix just about anything. They asked me to come do maintenance, so I did that. And I just was not where I needed to be. So I moved to Chattanooga in February of 22.
With the eye of getting involved with the ROTC program, or did that just come later?
That came later. So a bunch of my fraternity brothers from when I went to UTC worked for Steam Logistics. And that's where I figured out I want to be in supply chain and logistics. I loved it. They helped me get on to Steam Logistics, and I worked there for about a little over a year. And I left. It was very taxing. I built some impeccable relationships through my partners that I made there. I loved it, but I got my experience there, but I left, and then the ROTC position opened for a civilian at UTC, and I jumped right on it. I taught the sophomores, and being able to, and this is about a 10-year gap from when I was in ROTC there and up until now, and it was a world of difference. And I love being an example to the younger generation.
Was it different for you, John, or the program itself was different than when you were in it?
A little bit of both.
Yeah.
When I was there, it seemed like everybody wanted infantry. Now, and go do all that, and now it seems like, now that we're not in like much wartime, ideas have changed, and that's totally fine. But I went into the military, I feel like the mindset has changed drastically since I went in. But I loved that job. Like, that made me realize, like, someday I want to come back to UT and be a professor here. Like, that's where I found my love for teaching. I've always loved teaching, but I didn't realize it. And having making an impact on young people and being a leader and building men. I still talk to some of the students. Some of my students still reach out to me this day, and it's so rewarding being able to build this nation's future leaders. I loved it, but I did that for about a year, and then any more questions?
No, I think you're going to talk about then transitioning to University of Tennessee,
Yep.
getting your degree, and the big goal, the dream of putting together the garage for the veterans.
Yeah, of course. So, it was just like a contract that I replaced. That I was filling in for a guy that was in the Guard that deployed. So then I left the ROTC position and took some time to remodel my house and whatnot. At the time, man, I had beautiful place, man. I had 6 acres, huge house, 3-car garage.
I was gonna say probably
everything.
a big garage.
Yeah, man, I had my own gun range at my house. Like, I remember I killed like the second biggest buck of my life in Crocs and Ranger panties. Funny story. I loved it there, but and then I went to go work for a hot rod shop right down the street from me. After I took that time off, and it was awesome. I learned a lot, but I wasn't making the money. And then I went to work for Covenant Logistics or Covenant Transport. Great company to work for. I mean, they were awesome, but I wasn't fulfilled. I want one of my goals. So I want to go be a global supply chain manager somewhere, gain that experience, come here, teach, and then eventually open up my speed shop. But
yeah, talk about that speed shop too.
All that takes time. So
yep.
I worked for Covenant Transport for a couple months, and then about, I'd say, November, December of 24, I started doing the math, and like I really realized my worth, and so I kept, even though I had all this experience from Afghanistan, like I kept getting picked over for jobs that I wanted to transition to, because I want to be the most well-rounded, knowledgeable logistician I can be. So I applied to the University of Tennessee. This is my favorite place on the face of the earth. I'm like the biggest Tennessee fan you ever meet.
Go Vols.
Go Vols. I got accepted and sold my place in Chattanooga. Moved here in April. Started school in the summer, and I knew this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to come get my degree in supply chain. I mean, we have one of, if not the top supply chain program in the world. I'm coming to my favorite place on earth. I get to bear the torch, and I get to be of all. I mean,
yep.
What more can you ask for?
Well, but you want more. You have this big dream, John, of establishing the speed shop.
Yes. All right, I'll get a speed shop. So, as I mentioned earlier, my I love cars. I have found sanctuary in cars and hunting, but I've had over 30 cars in my life, and I turned 31 next week.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just in my family's blood.
I've owned 3, and I'm 48, so.
My dad's had over 100. My great-grandfather was known to trade cars 3 times a week.
Woo.
And I just know, like, anytime that, like, when I'm, I guess, down, I go hop in one of my hot rods, and
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen anybody with a frown on their face and driving a hot rod.
Mm-hmm.
So, huge advocate for helping veterans, like I said, because it
Make
is
that transition from serving and being mission focused to civilian life.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to someday, after I've retired and I've made my money, open Sarge's Speed Shop, and I want to bring veterans together through cars. Not only through cars, just bring veterans together, just find them the help they need. Me and one of my other buddies, we want to start our own foundation. School's kind of got in the way of that. We've
Mm-hmm.
kind of put it on the back burner, but like you see the Tunnel to Towers building houses for veterans, I want to build cars for veterans.
Mm-hmm.
I want to employ veterans
Mm-hmm.
and bring them together and give them purpose, because when you get out of the military, like, I didn't realize it, but I lost my purpose. Like, I had purpose, and it's I'm finally finding it again, especially here at UT.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've made some incredible friends, met some incredible people. I get to fellowship with other veterans,
Mm-hmm.
and hopefully make an impact on them.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to I want to do whatever I can for veterans.
Mm-hmm.
And I have recently purchased that Shelby GT500,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a super rare car, one of 17 built. Anyone that wants to donate for and use it for pictures or whatnot, I either want to take that money and donate it back to a veteran organization or back to the school.
Mm-hmm.
Just to raise awareness
Mm-hmm.
for our veterans that need help.
Yep.
And
if anybody out there is interested in using that Shelby and given to a good cause, encourage you to reach out to John.
of course, but I love it here, and I just want any veteran out there to know that you are loved. There is support out there for you, and do not be afraid to reach out for help. And anyone that knows a veteran, please, you don't know how much just a simple phone call or talking to them
Mm-hmm.
can mean
Yep.
to them.
Yep.
And give them purpose. Always, you always want to, I guess, keep them in mind, if you will.
Yep. Yep.
So,
And one thing we hope comes out of stories like this is that veterans who are watching it feel like they're not alone out there. And if you have a heart for veterans like John and want to get in contact with him, the center's happy to facilitate that. If you believe in his mission of starting up this speed shop for veterans, man, hope you'll reach out and contact him.
awesome.
John, anything else you want to say about your military service to kind of close things up? Looking back?
I've loved every second of it. Always, I just cannot stress enough that there is hope out there.
Mm-hmm.
Don't give up.
Mm-hmm.
and I'll always believe and trust in God. You never know what He's doing. I didn't know, and now looking back, God has led me to where He wants me to be.
Yep. You're right where you need to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you, John. Appreciate you telling our story.
I appreciate it.
And thank you all for listening.
Awesome.